Good evening. This is Mr. Ramey here, just welcoming you to 2020 Economics. So you're here for open house. There is another video I have that says open house that I made for the kids to go through the course. I'll go through some of that with you now, and you can also take a look at that video as well. So we know things will be a little bit different. It'll be challenging, so you can say the classroom will be kind of flipped. Kids will do a lot of the work at home, and then when they come to class, we'll evaluate, we'll do some application and so on. So when your student looks at the Schoology page, they're going to see a lesson, and they're just going to click on that day's lesson. They're just going to complete it. There's going to be about 5 questions per lesson. They'll just answer the questions. Once they answer those questions based on the lesson, that will go directly into my scorebook, and I will then take a look at that at the end of the day. And if they've completed it, then I mark them present. If they don't complete it, I mark them absent. Pretty straightforward. So make sure your student completes the work daily. There will usually be about 2 lessons per day because we are, we're meeting one day, we're off a day, meeting a day, we're off a day. Plus, we're compacting it into 6 weeks. So you could say instead of 12 weeks, since we're going to 6 weeks, that we've doubled up the lessons. However, the workload isn't actually double. So I would say the 2 lessons per day that they do is still not quite the same amount. We're still taking into account that we're distance learning and so on. So make sure that your student completes the lessons that are posted for each day, and so they're marked present. Okay. I'm pretty flexible. I'm not going to flex on that. If they don't do it, I mark them absent because I get held accountable for accurate attendance. But in terms of if they need some help on something, say they do a lesson and they get 2 out of 5 on the quiz, we can get together, the student and I. We can, if they're in class, the hybrid model, then we can talk in class about it and go over what they struggled with, and then I can give them a different version of that same quiz that they didn't do so well on, and then they can retake it. If they're online, then for first hour online students, then we would probably have to set up a WebEx to go over it so that they can get a better understanding, or if they want to stop in the building, just make sure you wear a mask. And yes, I have a mask here. It's just I'm alone in my room, and I'm allowed to take it off when I'm alone in my room. So anyways, well, the daily lessons I explained to you, not too tough. You'll like the way they look. I mean, the students last year, they were satisfied. The parents thought it was well set up, and I stepped them up a little bit this year in terms of rigor. So last year was kind of thrown at us at the last minute. So a little bit more rigorous. But once again, as long as your student sits down, they'll be able to complete the 2 lessons per day in about the same amount of time that they would have completed lessons if we were in school 5 days a week under normal conditions. So just make sure they complete those. Summative exams or unit tests will, for the online students, will have to be online. For you online students, beware that I did set up a program so that if I have, say, 30 questions in a test, and this will go for the students in class too, it's just they will take the test in class on their Chromebook. All right, but the online students, kids taking tests that are not present with me, you're not going to be able to go to a friend's house and sit next to them with your computer and take the same test. It's not going to work that way. So let's say question 1 is on scarcity. I created somewhere between, depending on the question, 5 and 15 questions per idea, per topic. So if I have 30 kids in the online section, we're looking at on average about 10 questions per question, if that makes sense, per topic. 30 questions, that's 300 questions. So you're not going to get the same 30 questions, all right? Sitting with your friend and trying to, copy, it's just not going to work, all right? And they will be timed so that if people do get together, if they try to do that, they're going to run out of time, all right? So I've put some safeguards in against cheating and or collaborating, if you will. Speaking of collaborating, your student is welcome to collaborate on the daily quizzes. All right. So if they want to get together with a friend and go through the lesson together and complete it together, hey, that's fine, because if they're reading it together and they're disagreeing on an answer, then they're gonna have to go back and look, and they're gonna figure it out. Hey, the learning process took place. We just don't allow that, of course, on unit exams. Okay. Um, that would be about it for grading. I know in class, the students that are going to be in class will do a little bit of application based. So, they do the lessons online. We come to class, we'll go over them a little bit, and then maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more. Like, say, for example, when we're in the unit for wages, all right? They'll do their lessons for wages. They'll come in, and then we'll take it to another level. Like, say, for example, right now the U.S. Open is going on for tennis, and a big debate has been equal pay. Now, I think all the four majors now pay men and women the same, and that's a fun conversation, because one would say, without doing any analysis, that hey, the men and the women should make the same. But an economist is going to say, slow down a little bit. They're not. It's not the same, because you could have, like, a case right now with Serena Williams approaching 24 Grand Slam titles. You could easily make the case that more people are watching the women's matches than they're watching the men's matches. All right, especially with Nadal and Federer out. So, and now with Djokovic out, right, with what happened the other day. So there's going to be greater interest in the women's matches. That means that advertising is going to, the women are going to probably bring in more advertising. There's going to be more money potentially on the women's side. Well, you could argue the women should get paid more. All right. Others would argue that under normal conditions, the men play 5 sets, the women play 3. So they would say, hey, why, if I work 5 hours and you work 3, shouldn't I get paid more? So you can make arguments all over the place on that, and many are valid, many are invalid. But that's the whole point about economics. It's to say, something that looks reasonable may not be. And our job as economists is to analyze these things, and to look at alternatives, and to look at the different options available, and find out, okay, what is going to be the best way to go. So that's the nice thing about econ is okay, what's the best way to go with paying for the U.S. Open tennis? All right, do we pay the women more? Do we pay the men more? Why would we pay the women more? Why would we pay the men more? And what are your arguments for that, as opposed to just some kid repeating a slogan they heard on the radio, right? That, or what I call bumper sticker mentality. If it can fit on a bumper sticker, it's probably not very well thought out. All right, and in economics, we need to explore these things. Applied economics, we call it. Anyways, so that's what we'll do in class on on Mondays. The Monday, Wednesday group will do a lot of analysis. The Tuesday, Thursday group will do a lot of analysis. We'll break these things down, and I'll even give the kids an opportunity to look up articles, like, remember, third grade current events. So if we covered, wages, and the student is, maybe the parent believes that we should have a $15 an hour minimum wage. Well, hey, we're in wages, then hey, find an article on that, bring it in, and during our analysis time, we'll talk about that. Is it wise? Is it unwise? What are the ramifications? Does it help? Does it hurt? That's what we need to do. And as we do this analysis, these kids will leave this class more prepared to vote responsibly, as opposed to, once again, just voting because they saw a bumper sticker or because they saw a sign in someone's yard. So that's the nice thing about econ. You really understand the world better after you take this course. Anyways, so that's what we'll be doing. If you have any questions, you are welcome to shoot me an email, and I will be glad to talk to you, back and forth, correspond through email, or if you want to set up a WebEx meeting, I'll be happy to set one up with you, and we can have a discussion about what's going on in class. If you have any questions, concerns, or brief alternate speeches or whatever. So that's that. Feel free to watch the other video that I made for the students. And we hope we all have a good year. Hopefully we'll stay in school. That's my desire, is to be in the classroom all year. But we'll see how that goes. All right. Have a wonderful day. And hey, go Twins and go Dodgers too. All right. Have a good day.